Hi, this is Sean, and in this After Effects tutorial, we're going to create some lower thirds and then save that as a template file that we can then use inside of Premiere to use over and over again when we're editing and we want to be able to change some text and colors, etc. of some of these presets that we can create. All right, so I'm going to start here in After Effects, and I am going to do a new composition, and I'm going to name that lower third template 001. And then I'm going to come in here 1080, 1920, 1080, that's fine. 24 frames a second, and I'm going to go ahead and just 20 seconds is fine as well. So I'll hit OK for that. Now we've got our comp created. So now we just need some text to create in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just right click down here in my timeline layer window and do new text. And come over here, Proxima Nova is great. Let's do semi-bold, and I'll just double click that to make sure I've got that selected. And let's pretend we're doing a tutorial video. So let's say Cinema 40 Tips. Okay, that sounds great. And then we'll go in, duplicate this by hitting Control D or Command D on a Mac. And we will go ahead and nudge that down just using our arrow keys here. And if you hold Shift, you'll move 10 pixels and get that to where it feels good. And we'll double click that bottom one. There it is, so 40 tips 2. And we'll change that to a light instead of semi-bold. That looks good. And we'll change that also to using the extrude tool. Great. So we have that. Well, we can get off of that. That's great. Select both of these. And I'll hit V so I can use my selection tool, and we'll drag that down here. Now I'm going to use my title safe guides just as a place to line up. So right here, I'm going to go into my grids and guide options and hit title action safe. Back in the days of CRT monitors and TVs, we would use this to make sure anything that happened inside this first zone was called action safe, and that's where you wanted important action to happen. And then this inner zone, this rectangle here, would have been title safe. And back then, any type that you knew had to be read should be in there because different types of TVs and brands cut off more of that outside area. So that was just a way to be safe. So for this, we're just using it as a guide, and I'm lining up there in the action safe area, and I'll just go ahead and turn that off, and we're good to go. So there we go, Cinema 40 tips using the extrude tool. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a little background. So I'm going to make sure nothing is selected. Go up here and grab my rounded rectangle tool. And remember, if we had something selected, it would have created a mask, right? So then I'm just going to click up here and maybe go out a little bit. And let's move that up here down below that shape layer. And I'm going to hit that, hit enter so that I can change the text and call it background. Looks good. And let's go ahead and again select that. So I'll go to my V tool, selection, and just use my arrow keys and figure that out. There we go. Looks good. All right. So I'm going to make that a little longer just so that move that over just enough so if we have something a little longer type-wise that can maybe fit in there, and that looks great. Now what we can do is let's animate on our type, and then we'll also animate on our little background rectangle. So first for the type, let's go up. We could use our animators, text animators, and create something custom, but in this case I am just going to come up to my effects and presets, go to my animation presets right at the top, go into your text and animate in, and then I'm going to roll down, see what we've got, and let's do fade up characters. I'm just going to drag and drop that there. Now it vanishes, that's okay. It's just because it sets the keyframes automatically, and now we can roll forward and see that comes right on there. And then we can come in here and select both of these by holding Shift Select. So I'm just selecting my two type layers. And then if I hit U, remember U will show any of the animated properties. So there's our two keyframes that are created automatically. And now I can grab these end ones and maybe scrub that down a little, maybe a little less than a second. Also, we can hit F9 and give that a little easy ease. Instead of 33%, let's change that keyframe velocity to 75. All right. And now if we look at that in the graph, it gives us a little more of a quicker ease on that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my keyframes here, and I'll do the same thing. And I'll grab this one, right click, keyframe velocity, and change it from 33 1/3 to 75. Perfect. So now we've got that happening, and I'm going to go ahead and offset the Cinema 4D down below. So we've got Cinema 4D tips comes in first, and let's grab this one, maybe ease that in a little bit so it comes in after. And I'm confusing myself a little here, so one good thing to always clean up, move your layers in order. So Cinema 4D tips above using the extrude tool, and that's perfect. And now I can do what I wanted. So let's have that there, and let's grab these and just offset them a little bit. See how that feels? Yeah, that's nice. And now let's take our background and we will animate that in. So here I'm going to hit P to roll down my properties of position. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe a little bit past 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, I guess. Let's go ahead and hit that stopwatch, set a keyframe there for our end keyframe, move to the beginning. I'm going to click and drag, hold down Shift so it snaps in our Y position. And now I've got that coming in. Okay, that is way too slow. So let's bring that guy down to about maybe 1 second. See how that feels. A little bit, maybe a little more. Okay. All right. And then let's go ahead and see where that's coming in. So maybe right about there, we want this first one to start hitting. And we'll sneak that down a little. And then right after that, we'll have that second one coming in. Oh, we're a little bit too fast there. So let's. All right, that seems okay. So we got in there, and we can go ahead and grab these if we want. Take that one, do our old F9 for an easy ease there so it settles in. Yeah, there it is. All right, so Cinema 4D tips using the extrude tool. It's coming in. Now we want it to go back out, so we need some reading time. So it lands at about a second. Maybe give it 2 seconds of reading time, and let's start it back out. So here we are just going to go to our background first. Hit that keyframe since it's still up at the end there. And then we will come back in, maybe move a half a second up, maybe even less. And let's just bring that X position back out. Perfect. That looks good. And then that set our keyframe there for us. So we've got, and then once that starts moving, we know we need to get these guys out of here too. So if we come up here, maybe right there, that looks good. And go to both our selectors here on our Cinema 4D tips and extrude, set our keyframes, and then move forward a little bit. And let's bring those both down to 0. Great. So we've got that. Hangs out a bit. Okay, I think that looks good. So we've got it coming in, and it's out of there. Perfect. So by 4 seconds, it's totally done. So I'm going to go ahead and set my time indicator there at 4 seconds. And I'm going to hit the N key, and that will bring our work area down to where our playhead is, or our time indicator. Then after I hit that N key, I'm going to go up to my composition, do composition, trim comp to work area. So now that will give us a little bit about a 4 second comp. And now we don't have that extra time at the end. So it's short and sweet, 4 seconds, we're in, and then we're out. All right. So once we have that all set, we can come up and we're going to use the Essential Graphics panel. So if we come over to to Window, Essential Graphics, that'll pull up right there. And now we want to select a comp. So we're going to come in here in that lowered third template 001 that we created. And we're going to name it, say, orange lower third. All right, that looks good. And and we've got everything. So now we need to add what we want to be able to change inside of After Effects. So at this point, we could save it, export it here with this button down here, and nothing would be able to be changed in it, but we would have it if it was something we were using over and over again. And you didn't want your editor or someone you're working with to be able to change anything. It's something you could just give them. They drop it in on the timeline and it's perfect. But in our case, we're going to want to use this over and over again and change the different titles. So we can come in here, and if we just go up first and click on this Solo Supported Properties, you can see that that shows us everything that is possible that we can save out that could be changed by our editor. So I'm just going to do first look in Cinema 4D tips and the source text. All right, that's perfect. And we can double click that and change that to line 1. All right, great. And then we'll go and roll down and find our second line of text, source text, drag it in. That would be line 2. And we're going to also add in how to change the background color. So I'm going to grab this, pull it up, and that is our color. And that we'll just put a little in front of that. Let's just put background color. So now at this point, we can go ahead. That's all we want to change. We could have added anything else in here, but we're going to just go ahead, grab this now, and hit Export Motion Graphics Template. We need to save our project first. That's fine. Save it. And now it tells us, okay, where do you want to save it? If you're going to be using this on your own computer and use it in Premiere, you can do Local Templates folder. That means Premiere can see it when you use it there. You could also put it on your local drive. So if you wanted to load it into Premiere from a folder or send it to someone else to use on another computer somewhere. And you could also save it to one of your libraries. So if you have your Creative Cloud, if you're logged in on any computer, that would be in your online library, and you could just immediately use it from there as well. So in this case, I'm just going to do Local Templates folder. That'll be perfect. Hit OK, and it quickly saves it in, and then we can go over to Premiere and see how it works. So I'm going to close down After Effects. We're going to open up Premiere. And inside of Premiere here, I've just got a little shot of fireworks happening. So we can go ahead and go over to our Essential Graphics tab here. If it's not open, just click on it over here. I am in, I think you could go into the graphics panel and that'll automatically open it. If we are in editing, and let's see if we go to all panels. Let me just go to all panels here. There we go. All panels, that's over there. And now I can come in here, do a little search, and I think we called it orange. And lower. All right, there it is, orange lower third. And now if we just drag it on top, and now we can see, boom, there it is. Animated on, animated off. And if I wanted to, I could then go ahead and maybe just change it, just click on it. you can see now instead of Essential Graphics Browse, we're over in the Edit tab. And then we could change this to 4th of July. And maybe make that fireworks. And we'll change that background color to something a little more 4th of July-ish. So maybe we hit a little blue. That looks good. And hit OK. And now you can see it automatically updated. All the animation stays. And so you can't get to those keyframes or anything, but you could change the text and then just drag that on anytime you need it, or copy and paste, and then just change that text as you move forward. So all of your color language and design language stays the same. All right, I hope that helped, and that's it. Thanks for watching.